Therefore, the thought of pulling a gun on a policeman shouldn't exist in the first place. I can assure you that we shall flush out those behind these crimes through all means possible so that the police can be free to protect the citizenry.
A fresh video of the suspect Eric Kojo-Dua in police custody has emerged as he was speaking about his intention to slip into Togo to avoid arrest and prosecution for the heinous crime of murder. He also insisted he did not pass through any checkpoint before reaching the point he was arrested.
No, bro, my son. I didn't pass any barrier. No, I was at, no, the place I was at my grandma's. What the price that you tell when you say, "What the money I will be one"? No, yes, sir, but I had it open there. No, I would the castle or the make call me brother so that nothing fellow and I report.
So Adib Saani is a security analyst and executive director of the Jatikay Center for Human Development and Peace Building and joins me in the studio. Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
So the police within 72 hours have arrested the prime suspect in this case. What does this mean for policing in the country?
Well, it means they can be proactive when they want to. The sense of urgency they attach to this is most commendable. I received the news with elation. However, I'm hoping that going forward they attach the same deal of importance they attach to this issue if it involves civilians and not police officers. But that notwithstanding, I think it's a good thing because it sends a clear signal to whoever is out there and thinking of killing an officer or killing any Ghanaian that we're not in a jungle. We are a country that is governed by the rule of law, and the laws will surely catch up with you no matter how long it takes. You
earlier stated that people of this sort should be given the death penalty. Do you still stand by it?
Yes, because, I mean, the killing of cops is becoming one too many. Criminals have become so emboldened, they've become so brazen in the manner in which they stage their attacks to the extent that they can even attack police officers in broad daylight. A clear signal would also have to be sent, at least to deter them from, towing the same line. And I'm saying emphatically that, look, the legal regime would have to change, so killing an officer would be tantamount to crime against the state, which invariably attracts the death penalty.
So we should go ahead and do it?
Absolutely. I know full well that Ghana hasn't really implemented that for the past 3-4 decades, but I think desperate times calls for desperate measures, and I think that is the way to go.
Okay, so I'll have you hold you on. We'll hear and we'll listen to Director General of the Police Public Affairs Directorate, ACP David Saani, who is saying the Police Management Board will from next week meet to determine how to implement a directive from the Interior Minister for personnel of the MTTD to be armed. In a related development, the former Director General of the Police CID COP, retired Bright Odro, wants the police to be vigilant whilst on duty.
In the ACP.
You see, normally, if you take the Kasua incident, I cannot recollect maybe when an MTU officer was shot at in doing his work. And traditionally, MTU officers or traffic officers, police officers all over the world are not armed. But the Kasua case has given us an indication that we need to review what we are doing and maybe step up the protection for our officers performing traffic duties. So the modalities will be worked out, and like Commissioner said, a backup will be necessary because if MT officers start carrying the AK-47, which is the commonest weapon that we use for our work, it becomes very clumsy. But there are other ways that we look at it in a way that the protection that they will need to do their work will be increased without necessarily giving them heavy arms. So those are the modalities that I believe from next week, Police Management Board will look at it and see how we can implement it.
Logistics definitely are issues also to be concerned with. But I think that we, the police on duty, must also exhibit some vigilance. You sometimes, when you pass around, you are in a vehicle and you pass around checkpoints, you see police officers just by the roadside checking without even bothering to see what is happening around them. I have always believed or thought that at various checkpoints, we need to have a backup security cover for those who are doing the examination, inspection of papers and passengers and so on. So that if there should be any move or if there should be any suspicious move, then those who are in this backup security cover will be able to deal with it. I don't very much subscribe to arming to the teeth duty men on the route. Officers from the MTU. MTU officers are just checking papers. People who come around, whether they have documents on their vehicle, whether they are licensed to drive and so on. So, and the offenses associated with these MTU are offenses that are minor, and so you wouldn't expect them to be armed with weapons.
So you have been following the discussion. We know the IGP as well as the Interior Minister has said that MTCD officers on duty are going to be wielding guns or weapons to protect them from these attacks. What is your take on that?
Does this attack has to happen before we think about arming MTTD officers? For crying out loud, what sort of incompetence is this? Why are we so reactive to issues of security? Why haven't we been proactive? Because this is not certainly the first time this is coming up. We all know what happened at La Paz when an officer was shot in broad daylight. Yeah. We know some time ago around the industrial area there was a robbery ongoing at Royal Motors. There were police officers on duty at that particular area, but they couldn't confront or counter the threat because they were not armed. For crying out loud, these are young men and women who put their lives on the line